Hey everyone, in this video I thought I would talk about how I'm debugging TypeScript in Neovim. And I'm doing this because, especially coming from editors like VS Code, where pretty much everything works out of the box, I was a bit surprised, but it wasn't an unpleasant surprise. But anyway, I was surprised to see that debugging, although with all the simple setup involved, that setup wasn't enough for me to debug more complex TypeScript projects. So let's see what I'm talking about. Let's say that I have a simple bar.js JavaScript file. So this is a standalone file. It is not involved in any project or anything like that. So if I want to debug this, I can simply place a breakpoint. Then I can, or maybe I should first show you my my configuration, my debugging configuration, so that we know we are on the same page. So on the right, you can see some of the plugins that I used. I don't think there is anything, let's say, unfamiliar or anything new. Now on the left side, it's what's of interest for now. As expected, I'm using dap and dap UI. Then I'm setting the adapters. This is a very important step if you want to debug basically any language. So I'm setting the adapter for PWA node, which is essentially the adapter for JavaScript and TypeScript files. And then I'm setting the adapter for C++ and Rust, although I don't know Rust, but maybe one day I will learn it. Then I also have an adapter for Lua, which is what I use if I want to debug Lua plugins for Neovim. And then I'm setting some basic configurations for TypeScript and JavaScript, and other stuff like that. Then I'm setting up some icons and finally some key maps. So there is nothing new. I'll leave my my .file configuration for Neovim in the description. Now let's go back to our example. So now I'm going to launch the debugger for this file by selecting the first option. And now I should see that the debugger works, although you don't see that highlighted line as you would normally expect. But as you can see, there is an arrow on the left, and now I can step into, step out, and all of that stuff. Okay, so we've seen that we can debug a simple JavaScript file. Now let's say that I want to debug a simple TypeScript file. So this is a simple TypeScript file. It is not part of any project, so it is not having a tsconfig JSON file associated with it in any way. So a standalone TypeScript file. I can do the same steps. I can place a breakpoint, and I can, okay, maybe I don't know why there is an ongoing debugging session, but I think I'm just going to terminate this session. Okay, so I'm having a breakpoint. Now I can launch the file, and as you'll see, it works out of the box, no problems. But now if I want to check if the debugger has stopped. Okay, so it stopped. Now if I want to check out a more complex but yet simple situation where I'm using, or to be more precise, where I'm having a TypeScript project, and that means having a tsconfig JSON. As you can see, I'm including the main TS file, and I'm also enabling source maps, which is essential if you want to have a good debugging experience. But now, if I want to debug this file following the same approach as we did previously, so I would place a breakpoint. Now I can launch the file, and as you'll see, the debugger has disconnected. It didn't work. I don't know the exact reason, as you can see, why it doesn't work, but and of course I was confused, but this was a great chance for me to explore and to understand maybe a bit more about debugging. So for that I have done some research, and I found out that that you can start a Node script in the debug mode, or the way I think it works is that you simply start a script as you would normally do, a Node script, by running Node, but instead of simply running that script, by using certain commands, you can also attach a debugger server to that, which means you can attach to such debug server. So let's see the command that you can use. So I'm using node inspect, and then I'm providing the build entry point. So first of all, I have to run tsc, or in essence I have to run the TS compiler on the project so that it can output some files, and then I'm running node inspect on the entry point. I don't know what example txt does here. I suppose it is for login purposes. And then in the end I'm echoing the process ID, because we'll need that process ID in order to attach to it. So if I run this command, you can see that the debugger has been attached. We also get a process ID, and now we're going to use that to attach to this file. So I'm going to place a breakpoint. I'm going then to select the fourth option, which is to attach to a process ID, and then I'm going to search for my process ID. I think it is 126. Notice that we are using the index of the process in that list, not the process ID itself, but knowing the command or even the process ID can be useful to identify the entry in this list. So by selecting this, I don't think you can see much, but now if I step into, you can see that the debugger works. So although the visual feedback was not quite there yet, the debugger works. So now I'm debugging that simple project, which didn't work initially, but now it works because I have used that node command. And by the way, by running node inspect is the same as running node inspect. So it seems the auto completion doesn't work. So it is the same as running this and then script.js. What this does in essence is that it will stop the program in the beginning of its execution. So this could be useful if you want, for example, to see what how a server sets up, but it might not be very beneficial if you want to or maybe I should not spoil it now, but there are cases where you don't want the program to stop when it starts executing, because other programs might depend on it, but we'll see that in different videos. So we've seen now that you can debug TypeScript in Neovim, and I wouldn't say that it is specific to Neovim. It is a broader concept that can be applied to any situation. For instance, you can also use this thing to debug in Chrome, because Chrome has some dev tools for Node. So let me see if that works again. So I can have this, and now if I go to the browser and I bring the process again, now if I open this, so you have to navigate to this, to Chrome Inspect or Brave Inspect. In my case I'm using Brave, and then I can select the DevTools for Node, and you will see that it works. So it works the same way it works in Neovim, so that's why I'm saying it is a broader concept, which I think is great. Now that I think about this, I think it was a great thing that it didn't work initially, that debugger thing, because now I've learned more about the tools that I use pretty much every day. So yeah, now I can simply debug the script. If this script imports other scripts, I can also debug them as well, of course with source maps. So this is great stuff, and yeah, I think this would be it for this video. and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.